We are live. Good evening, everyone. And for those who are going to be watching it on replay, hello to you. We're here today with another interesting topic from our book, Shining in Your Spotlight. I hope that you've enjoyed the topic of discussion so far. I hope it's been insightful. But today we have yet another interesting and insightful topic, and it's called Everyday Counts. And this is from chapter 8 of the book, basically talking about time management. I have Sonia here again. Sonia, thank you for always showing up for me and showing up with our book. With our book. So I'm going to start by reading the quote here, which says, "Life is measured by time. How you spend it defines your journey." So time is life. Time is not money, as people always say. Time is life. And how you spend it defines your journey. So we're just going to dive in. Sonia, do you have any thoughts before we, jump into the topic of the day?
Yeah, this is one of my exciting topic.
Mm,
And I've actually fought with one of my friend because of my time.
wow.
Because it's one investment that cannot be replaced or
Yeah.
cannot be bought. A time missed is a time missed. I'm very protective about my time,
Mhm.
and sometimes when I say that, she'll be like, why are you sounding so condescending about it? I'm like, manage your time, like prioritize, because every time is very important, right? I
Yeah.
know some people don't really look at it that way, because for me, time is a seed.
Mhm.
Okay, so every minute of it kind of counts, and that's why when you meet like the very top people, people we call elites, they always tell you to book appointments, because then every part of their day is structured.
Yeah.
And that is why I said, for me, I'm very protective of my time, because I have a lot going on, and we
Mhm.
all have the same 24 hours, and we all have what we want to achieve with those chunk of time. And also for us parents is a lot, in terms of trying to figure out with the kids as well, with your own life, with your family life. If you're in school, study
Mhm.
time. If you're in business, prioritizing those times that you make profit in your business or structure,
Yeah.
so for someone to be in there. So that's
Mhm.
why I love this a lot. Like I told you, it's
I
actually
have a question for you.
okay.
When did you realize that this your time was so precious, was something that, as the beginning of this chapter says, time is life, like how you spend it defines your journey? When did you come to realize? Because I'm sure you were not always like that.
I'm not always like this. So
Yes, yes.
so I realized this when I was still working as an early childhood educator.
Okay.
And that is when you look at the growth of a child,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
every week the child add to their growth mentally. Like, you're looking at your kids and wondering, like, when did you learn these things and everything? Every day of their life is a seed.
Yeah.
You're going to see the bulk of it like on a weekly, but you might not see how it germinates and grow. Okay, so working as a early childhood educator kind of told me there are no second chances in anything. You
Mhm.
might get the best. Like, imagine when I call Effie, right, and I'm discussing something with her right now because she's in the
Mhm.
mood to talk to me right now. The
Mhm.
next minute she might not be in the mood to talk to me, she might be in the mood to
Mhm.
play.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that time I got her to to discuss things with me is the time she only had to give me.
Yeah.
The other time, you cannot get her attention span, right, to
Yeah.
settle in with you and talk about, right? So I
Yeah.
learned this thing from the children I was working with.
Mhm.
Because their own, they have a set time when they want to talk to you. They have a
Mhm.
set time when they're in the mood to play, that whatever you say will not make sense to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then when you want to teach them as well, there's certain time you teach a child.
Mhm.
Back then we're in school, you cannot teach people math in the afternoon.
Mm.
Okay? Their brain might not carry because of the weather is becoming hot, they're being more tense,
Yeah.
you know, they've taken in a lot of things. So for me, having to have that early childhood background actually taught me how to structure. So I have my most productive time in a day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And I also have my time when I just want to relax as a
Yeah.
person. I need to fill my cup.
Yeah.
So those structures help you kind of maximize your 24 hours.
Right. So for me, it was when I had my third child, right? I mean, I knew how to manage my time, but at the time, I think I learned that was when I learned the value of my 24 hours,
Hmm.
because I was having two, no, the first wasn't a toddler anymore. It was over 4 or something like that, right? And here I was with a toddler and a baby. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't have help at the time, right? Like then my mom hadn't come. So I had to deal with the whole thing in Canada alone, right? So I had to prioritize when to sleep, when to wake up, when to cook, quickly do the things I need to do, jump back in bed because I need, you know what I mean, right? That was when I realized that everything has to be structured. I'm not supposed to be on the phone at probably 9 when my daughter is sleeping, when I know she's going to wake at 12, right? In the middle of the night. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
was, I realized the value of my time.
Yeah.
And then I began to work it out. But now coming into the world of entrepreneurship, right? Trying to do business, trying to manage, family and everything else, it further made me structure time more effectively. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just going to be on the call, just going on and on. It's not like I don't have those times where I'm talking to my friends and all, but I'm very conscious of what I need to be doing and doing it at the right time. That's how I get productive with my day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because like you said, it's the resources that we can't we can't pay for actually.
yeah,
Everything in our life is measured by it. So why
yes,
don't we make it count? You
mm-hmm.
know? And like I told you earlier, this is one of the things I love so much because sometimes even as moms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
When for me, when I think people get depressed in this motherhood is when we don't prioritize our time.
exactly. Yes,
When we don't give value to the different times, you can see
sure.
somebody, you're breastfeeding your child, you're on the
Mm-hmm.
phone pressing something, the child is giving you eye contact. There's so many things you could be doing that time, to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of nurturing that child.
Yeah.
But then this whole internet thing, you're
Mm-hmm.
there shopping, and by the time you know it, the child has slept off. You are
Mm.
just lost in the internet thing. The
Lost.
time to put the child down to actually get a rest for yourself, yes,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Because
Yeah,
there's a way these
exactly.
things can become a distraction. Okay.
Very
So
much.
also imagine when you have a toddler and a baby and you're not
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing your time.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel like the whole world is against you.
Oh boy, yeah. I struggled till I learned, like I had to learn from my own experience, right? To prioritize the time because I had a
Honestly.
toddler, I had a baby to deal with, right? So yeah. All
So that's why having
right.
all of us having that same hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
The productivity comes from how intentional you are in
Yes.
prioritizing your time.
Yes.
Okay? Sometimes people will ask you, how do you do A, B, C, D, and
Mm-hmm.
still be sane?
Exactly.
When you're looking out kept and everything. I'm like, I
It's
prioritize.
utilizing the time. And
You know,
guess what? You never get perfect at it because you know that even last week I was still telling myself there are some things I need to put in my schedule, especially with the children, that I know I need to discipline myself to do. That
yeah,
is not the time to even look at my phone. Like I was telling myself that I'm gonna fix this time for them and I would not have my phone around. So yeah, it's like a work in progress to
yeah,
make sure that you're using time productively because it's more valuable than money. Time,
yeah, yeah.
life.
And
So,
don't be apologetic about it,
oh
okay?
yes,
And
yes.
because I had a friend, I have a friend. And she's very clear about it, okay?
Mm-hmm,
So the thing is, you might call her now
mm-hmm,
and expect her to return your call. She might not return immediately when you want her to. Now,
mm-hmm,
she might not call you back, but she will drop a long voice note.
mm-hmm,
But the thing is, this is who she is. We
mm-hmm.
adapted to that and we live with
Right.
that
Mm-hmm,
because she has her hands full with 4 boys. She has
mm,
a business. She had a career. So
mm.
I know how the system here is in terms of work-life balance. So she
Yes.
has to do something that works for her because she
Exactly.
said, when I pick your call at that point, the gist will take longer, okay,
Yeah.
and then it will take away time, and that is who she is. So
Mm,
I learned from that as well,
mm-hmm,
not to being angry that, oh, you're not available for me and everything, but no,
mm-hmm.
I learned to actually prioritize my time as well. So it's
Right.
not like you don't get time to talk, right? But
Mm-hmm.
most of those time you might have, okay, quick thing, she like drop me a voice note, I'll respond to you when I'm free. And
Mm,
that is and this
mm-hmm.
is what I love about the intentionality of your time, because
Exactly.
you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need time as well as the person
Yeah.
to reflect on how your day has been, what
Right.
you're doing right, what do you
Mm-hmm.
need to work on.
Yeah.
Actually, also even meditate. Do your meditation, man.
Exactly.
It
Yes.
requires time.
Yeah.
You're not going to be rushing God and saying, God, I'm here for you right now. What do you have to say?
Yeah.
What do I need to read one chapter and that's it? You need
Yeah.
time for all these things.
Yes. You're right.
I love what you talked about here. Like, despite everyone having the same some achieve more, it
Mm-hmm.
all boils down to how we use our time.
Yes.
You know, the trajectory of life is shaped by your choices and your decisions. And
Yes.
that's the whole thing about this thing in
Yeah.
our time management.
Yeah. I say how you spend your time every day serves as a mirror reflecting. I mean, like it will show. It definitely is a mirror. It shows in the life that you have, right? How you use your time will definitely be that reflection because it's all about the choices that you make and of course your subconscious inclinations, right? So as this person here says, Jonathan Estrin says, the way we spend our time defines our priorities. Is for you to understand that you prioritize the things that are important to you based on the time that you have. If you're intentional about doing so, then you're definitely going to achieve a lot more.
Yeah. Engaging in fun activities isn't bad, but the emphasis is on an intentional decision versus lack of choice. You know,
Mm-hmm,
I just remember if I'm going to take my kids to their extracurricular activity, I
mm-hmm,
either have my laptop with me and my phone because I
mm-hmm,
have 1 hour to just sit down waiting. So I
mm-hmm.
had to put in something in that chunk of time as well to achieve it
Yeah,
while I'm waiting for that. Okay.
yeah,
And like you said in this book, it's not bad, but then what do you want to do in that time you're sitting waiting? You don't want to just waste that time
yeah,
sitting. You know,
yeah.
sometimes it might be your own time to study the Bible, to just
Mm-hmm,
reflect and meditate. It
yeah,
might be a time to work on any, maybe you have an assignment or a project you're working on,
yeah.
you work on it. It might be your own time if it's your want to chit chat with friends, your time to. So just make out
Exactly.
time for people in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, make it worth it.
Yes.
Once I pick them, trust me, nothing else matters at that point other than focus on them,
Mm-hmm,
set them in, and they go to bed. So
mm-hmm,
it's about the time that we put in this and also the time that how we prioritize. And
mm-hmm,
I love the quotes. The way we spend our time defines our priorities. And people see those things in you and how you manage it. So if you're that person they will always call and you fly out,
mm-hmm.
they know
Yes.
that you're
Yes.
available anytime.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
if you're that person they call and you're like, kindly drop me a note, I'm on this strategic call, can I call you back? They
Mm-hmm.
are aware. Okay,
Yes.
and they live by that. So
Yeah.
how you manage your time is actually how people will prioritize your time as
Yes.
well for you.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yes.
with you.
Yes. So here I say God will hold you accountable not just for the what you did, but for those things that you're called to do. That's why we still talk about the intentionality of your time, right? You knowing exactly what you're supposed to be doing and making sure that you're doing those things because that's what you're going to be accountable for. So fulfilling your purpose, fulfilling your assignment, your life's call is of utmost priority. And of course, you need time to do those things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
grasping that truth means that you have that responsibility to
Ability.
prioritize
Yeah.
those things that are most important to you, and of course to work it out. So it's more like saying people who talk about being busy. If you tell me you're busy, then I should be able to see why you're busy, right? Like let there be results for your busyness so
Yeah.
that it kind of justifies it. I'm not saying everything must be seriousness all through, right? Like you said, you will also make time to talk to your friends, to
Yeah.
chat, your family, and all of that. But I'm here, I'm also calling out the fact that you have a purpose to fulfill, and you must make out time deliberately and intentionally to work towards those things that meet those goals.
Yeah, and I love what you talked about here in terms of Psalms 90:12, teach us to number our days, meaning we should always carefully allocate and schedule our time.
Yeah.
Like you said about being busy, sometimes people use that as an excuse. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so busy, but what exactly are you busy doing?
Exactly.
I can be busy doing this right now. It's being busy. And when
Mm-hmm.
I go there, I can be watching movies, also being busy.
Exactly, of course.
Okay. What exactly are you being busy doing?
Yeah.
The like you said, every day of our life truly matters, and we need wisdom for those things. And
Mm,
like it's a learning phase. A lot of people have not really grasped it, especially if you're doing maybe let's say 8 to 4 work job or
mhm,
9 to 5 kind of work where okay, I have to wake up at a certain time to prep for my day and
yeah,
the drive time as well. Then when I get back, I'm exhausted, I can't do any other thing. Maybe I order food out and I go back to sleep. Now,
mhm,
when you go to sleep, do you have time to wake up to meditate? Do you have time to wake up to work on other things?
mhm,
Okay. And with our schedule here, some of us still work weekends.
mhm.
Get it?
Yeah,
So when
yeah,
exactly time do you schedule for yourself to have a me time?
yeah,
Okay, apart from you having a me time to also kind of look at your family, look around you and the environment to see, oh, what do I need to change? What do
Yes.
I need to adapt to? What do I need to work with? When do I need to even stock up the house? You
Mm-hmm.
get this whole thing requires our time, and
Yeah.
that's why I love the Bible so much. Like wisdom is profitable to direct,
Mm-hmm.
and every day, like you said, He's holding us accountable.
Yeah.
Every minute is a seed. How are
Yeah.
you living that life?
Yeah.
Okay, how
You
are
know,
you doing your day?
yeah. These days I wake up and I say, God, you know how there's a scripture that says, this is the day the Lord has made, right? I rejoice and I'm glad in it. And I'm beginning to see that for the fact that He's giving me this day,
Mhm.
there's something I must be purposefully doing that day to make that day not just productive in terms of making money or anything, but impacts wise.
Impact wise,
There's
yeah.
something for me to do in that day, which I am asking every day. What is that I should be doing
Mhm.
that should create the impact that makes that day a fulfilled day, if you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
like what you said is usually what I always tell myself.
mm,
Okay. And I always have the affirmation and I tell God no day appears empty for
mm,
me,
mm,
because I draw that from He daily loaded me with benefits. So apart from the benefit of the material things and the wealth and all that, I'm
mhm.
also looking at what life have I touched today. So I
Exactly.
always have a time where I reflect to ask myself, who did I talk to today? Why
Mm,
what difference did I make in talking to you?
exactly. Yeah.
What did I change in you? Because if I'm having a conversation with you, my
Mhm.
end game or when I end that call, I should be able to look back and say, you took this from the call.
True.
Okay? I should be able to end it to say, okay, my time with you was really, meaningful. And
Mhm.
there's something that you can take back. And that
Yeah.
is all, like you said, the outcome of our life is intricately woven into how we invest this invaluable gift called
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Okay. So the outcome might be the impact. The
Yeah.
result might be, what lives you're touching.
Mhm.
Because every day of our life, He's given us another opportunity.
Yes.
And I'm going to draw this from the health wise.
Mhm.
Imagine how expensive it is for someone to be in artificial oxygen
Right.
when you have the real deal and
Mhm.
you're not able to account for the real deal that you are breathing in. Then
Yeah.
when you are being stuck in a position, they're fixing the CM nasal cannula or the Venturi max on you, and you're paying for this oxygen.
Mm.
Sometimes at that point, people don't even make any impact anymore because they feel, okay, I'm at that point where this is what I need for life. But
Yeah.
now you have it freely given.
Really.
Everything is okay.
Yeah.
What exactly are you doing with the time?
Exactly. Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
you putting in your purposeful life
Mm.
into this oxygen? If you are to pay for it, what are you paying for? Because most times we don't really place value on what we
On
have.
those, exactly, because it's free. I mean, it seems like we're entitled to it. We just live mindlessly.
Mindlessly. But
Yeah.
when you look at the
But
time,
when
I have how many quantity or how many liters of am I burning in 24 hours? What am I using
Mhm.
for?
Mm.
To make sense to us.
That's
How
when
to actually be intentional
yeah.
towards those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, you're right. So in essence, like, I mean, I like the fact that you said something about, like, when I was talking about mindlessly, because we don't realize the value. But
Mm-hmm.
when you now know, that's when you become more intentional about it. And I think that's where this
Exactly.
scripture comes from, where David was saying, or is it Moses that said, teach us to number our days. So
Yes.
teach us to schedule our days, to be mindful of our days, right? Like planning carefully to know that we have to use our time well. That's exactly what he was trying to say when he talks, when he said, this teach us to number our days.
Yeah, and I love like in terms of when you talk about redeeming the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said initially, is a learning curve. A lot of us, we didn't grow to know to manage. We
Mm-hmm.
just like, what, I'm tired today, let me go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're intentional about it, you achieve more.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when I started structuring my time,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to achieve more. I feel I have that energy because I have a chunk of time I got to rest. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm no more everywhere. Like, what do I have to do? Others,
Mm-hmm.
you are purposefully achieving your goal for the day.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you can actually achieve more through effective time management.
Yes.
It can help you structure your time wisely. I'm always putting it, if you are working like at least 9 to 5, okay,
Mm-hmm.
at least, okay, maybe you wake up 5,
Mm-hmm.
Your meditation, you have to, if you have kids, you pack up the things within an hour, which is six, like maybe say 5:30 to 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at structuring your drive time, which is maybe 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And you're setting up time and all that. Then you get to work, let's say 8:45 to resume 9,
Mm-hmm.
and you're there till 5. Your drive time home is 5:45. If you have kids, that is when you just, ooh, as mom now, we don't try
Yes.
anything else, you
You
drop
jump
it,
straight in. Mm-hmm.
you resume mommy duty, you
Yeah.
know. And then also have the time your kids go to bed. These
Yeah.
things help.
It
You're not
helps.
just building and helping yourself, you're actually helping those children structuring their routine.
Yes, they're learning from the beginning
They
how to.
learn from the beginning and it becomes part of them. Because
Yeah.
once it's that time, like my son, to be honest, even at 22 years old, once it's that bedtime, he's already heading up. He's saying good night, love you. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, he doesn't need you to put him in bed. He's already
Mm,
used to that time. If you, the days they want to do movie night Friday, trust me, before the movie starts, he's already zoom on,
mm.
because he's already used to that routine.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not just helping yourself as a mom, you're
Mhm.
also helping those children have a structure and
Yeah.
build their own routine. So
Yeah.
it helps you to also settle in on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're like us, maybe that wake up in the night to pray, you rest in, then wake up to do your prayer
Exactly.
and everything. So
Yeah.
it helps you as a person to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it helps you to spend more time with you because trust me, you are the you are the you that need the most.
You're the center that needs it the most, honestly.
Okay, so redeeming time involves seizing control and designing days with purpose and value.
Yeah.
Don't just spend the day about yourself, yourself, yourself.
Mm.
Make it impactful, place value on the things around you,
Yeah.
people around
People,
you.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Make sure that every day you look back and like, God, who have I touched today? Who did you? And in the morning, like you said, like in the morning, ask God, like, who do you want me to reach today?
Mm.
What is that life you actually want me to touch?
Yeah.
It might not be on so like I always share with material things. It might just be being a shoulder for someone to lean on.
Yeah.
It might just be a co-worker who have it all that everything didn't go well at home during the weekend, but they
Yeah.
want to share with you.
Yeah.
Your word might just be something they need,
At that time, yes.
to find succor on and lean on. It
Yeah.
might not be your words. It might be as little as your smile.
Mm-hmm.
It might be as little as showing kindness to people. It might
Yeah.
be as little as your personality.
Yes.
Okay? Some
Let
people
every day count, in essence. That's what you're trying to say.
every day
Let
count.
every day count.
Let
Let
it count.
something be meaningful for that day. And this just draws me back to that book that we read, right? The magic that talks about at the end
Okay,
of the day,
that's
reflecting back
good.
to be
Yeah.
grateful for the things that have happened in that day. Like literally drawing your mind back to what happened in the course of the day and
Mhm.
being thankful for those things.
For
I
those
think it
things.
kind of helps you understand how you're not just living day to day like flying into bed and zooming off to dreamland, right? You're
Mhm.
actually being intentional, and that will help you maybe replicate that next day even better. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
continue to be intentional and growing in that way to be more impactful in the end.
Yeah. So removing distractions and shielding time from external demands
Yeah.
that hold no value.
Hmm.
So one of those things that we talk about is the social media.
Endless scrolling. You need
Yes.
to be mindful of that thing. That thing just take up time. You yourself, if you're wondering what happened,
I
right?
always share that as every time, any day. Okay. And a lot of time people don't know how much time they spend. And I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people when you do weekly review, go to your phone if you have that. Your phone will always tell you how much
Of
hours you spend
course.
there,
Yes.
whatever for that week. So
Mm-hmm.
start from there to kind of
Yeah.
reduce the time because these things are to help us and
Mm.
not to take away from us. So
Yes.
it's actually use it well and it will be of value. So
Yeah.
the major thing is most times we come online, you might not have a particular thing you're looking for, but you're mindlessly going
Mm-hmm.
before you know it, in 3 hours you're there, you're wondering, oh, what did I do? But you are
Mm-hmm.
spending most of your time on this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And that's why I say here that you're the custodian of your time. That
Mm-hmm.
you're the one holding it, you're the gatekeeper of that time. So regularly assess to ensure that you're using your time
I like
perfectly well and making sure that it aligns with your vision, right?
mhm.
You have a vision to probably take an exam, for example. Then you should assess yourself and see how much hours you have spent scrolling, as we said, doing things that are not of value to what you have actually set for yourself to do. So it's all about being intentional about your time and strategically using it well.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about timing because every day is precious,
Every
and
day.
I like the thought to consider unrepeatable chances to create, connect, learn, and grow.
Mm-hmm.
So, unlike other resources, time is irrevocably infinite. The truth is, the truth should inspire urgency and gratitude for the now, and rather than anxiety. So,
Mm-hmm.
reflect on how often you defer dreams. So, those of us that procrastinate a lot,
Hmm. That
tomorrow
procrastination is another thief of time.
time, yes. You keep
It's
moving it tomorrow. There is no better time than now. If you
yeah.
want to get to it. Stop pushing it because by the time you know it, 1 year is gone, 5 years
Mhm,
is gone, and you're
mhm.
still procrastinating. So why not
Yes.
make it happen now? Okay. So
Yes.
you're gonna take call to action.
Yes. Okay, so I'm saying we need to set daily activities. There's something I learned from a mentor of mine. She always says you need to have a to don't list, not only a to do list. Have you ever heard that?
That
There's
one
some
is
things
intentional.
you must tell yourself these are the things I will not do until I do these things, like scrolling on social media. I mean, like, you know what I mean? I'm just giving a typical example. There are some things that are priority for the day, and you have to do those things before you do some other things. So I'm saying here, setting daily activities, like let there be some sort of planning to note
Yeah.
down the things that you need to do. And of course, note things to avoid, to stay focused and productive. So write down and display those things anyhow you want. I learned to use my reminder on my phone, and I think this is really a game changer. I use the reminder. You see where I'm saying write down and display it here so that you know the intentions of the things you want to do, right? There are some things that can slip. As little as I want to keep drinking water, right? Except you're very used to it. It's not something that comes naturally to everyone. You can
Yeah.
have it as a reminder when to take your
Mhm.
water, when to do your exercise. Amidst your busy schedule, you just want to take a walk. You know what I mean? Okay, when do I need to pray in the middle of the day? I could be too busy to even remember. But
Yeah.
as long as you have a reminder that
Reminder.
you've been keeping those things in front of your eye, you would you would adjust yourself to do those things. That's how we add those things that could be easily slipped or missed into our day to make it more productive and effective.
Mhm.
And the last thing I talked about here is evening reflections. So, like I already shared that before, right? Evening reflections, just reassessing the day and learning from what you should have done better and what you need to do better the next day or whenever you need to do just carrying forth gratitude as you go, as I said in the other book, right? Just being reflective of how your day went so that the next day is definitely better. So
For
yeah.
me, like to add to that reflection, like you read in the magic, we should be intentional in writing it down. It
Mhm.
kind of helps you like know the magnitude of what goes on in your day. You
Yeah.
know, because sometimes we can put it in our mind, but we can't count those things. But
Mhm.
when you look back, reflect, and write,
Mhm.
happened today. I am grateful for this. My
Mhm.
tidiness, everything. As for me, as little as my children climbing the stairs, I am always grateful for that because it scares me. They are young, they're
Mhm.
not the balance they get, all these things about. So as
Right.
little as those things, I'm
Yeah.
always grateful for it.
Right.
As little as them being coordinated, as little as them being, everything, just write it down because in writing you see the number of things. That's what it's a count your blessings, name it one by one. It will surprise you how
Yeah.
much the Lord,
That's
So when you
yeah.
look at this at the end of the year, be like, wow, God,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
because we may tend to take things for granted normally, but those on the other side of this blessing that you have, they know the struggles they
Yeah,
face, right? So
yeah,
if we're intentional about bringing this to our front, of course, it's blessing all the way, like it continues.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
So,
learned that from you. Write it
so
down.
if you followed us so far to chapter 8, okay,
Mm,
I always share with you guys. This is the time you want to invest your time with this. I'm telling you, every day there's something about this book that kind of speaks volume. It's not just about the writing. I said
mhm.
this came at the right time in such a time as this, so you need to
Yeah,
maximize it.
yeah,
Because in as much as we're looking at the world, we're talking about those things, we are gearing towards the coming of Jesus Christ. And
yeah.
trust me, you want to be accountable for the time because that
Mm,
is one of the things that we need to look back and say, yeah, you give me how many years? Maybe if you're
yeah,
40 or 30,
yeah, yeah.
you give me how many days of my life? What did I do with it? So this will
Mhm.
help you structure your day. It will help you live right. It will help you know the kind of network that you have around you, and also build a better future for your kids and people around you, because it's all encompassing. So the link to the Amazon is somewhere on the bio, okay?
Yes.
And if you know that the name is there on the screen, look for it on Amazon. Get it for yourself. You can give it as gifts to your girlfriends as well for their birthdays. And I hope this blesses you until we come your way again
next week. Stay blessed and have a blessed and a fruitful, productive week. Take care. Bye.